very similar to last game. A lot of these teams are prepared. You see, instead of white lining into the center of zone, Yagfir and Aminish, they're going towards the north. They're trying to go to where they think is the least congested side of the map to try to give them a much easier rotation.
Possibly even look to hold players out here as well. This is an open field set up in front of them, but Blake and Macwood are starting to close the distance here and get on into a more advantageous position. D-Roller and N-Pen on the other side right now seemingly have been situated for quite some time here. No threats in sight just yet. I do wonder if they've spotted that team out by the cabin up north. I don't think so. As you can see, D-Roller is looking pretty desperately for anything. This is where the last game more or less ended, down at the Nani net, so I'm thinking they're thinking, hey, what if it comes this way? Let's get here a little early.
Yeah, it's definitely up to them where they want to rotate. They're beating a lot of the other teams because they land on that side of the map. Hopefully they do choose wisely. Hopefully they did get some surge to start themselves off. Decay, Sniffer just trying to scrape together, scavenge some of this loot that is on the bottom. They do have a pretty good loadout. They got Mythic Munitions Augment that gives them that tactical pistol. They have a gold Havoc pump, Slurps, Minis, and then that Mammoth that you see majority of the lobby carrying. Right now, it's just about so much action going down around, all around them to be exact. Two teams fighting directly, another third team sneaking up, two more into the distance, and this is their chance with a bunch of players weak to try to pick up some eliminations and even more loot, and that's exactly what I was talking about as they find Chris out of position.
Not only that, they do have some of the walls here, so everyone's out of position because half of this is their territory. And with a quick finish now, they're feeling extremely content with that because they needed the material here as well. Look, they're just going for the recontrol of this entire area. And the max material count now back into Sniffer's inventory. What an excellent way for them to turn that situation completely around. Find themselves back in the game here. Back on over with Clicks and Epic Whale. Does seem like plenty of teams have now started to hover towards this drop spot here, but nothing stands out to me just yet. I do wonder if they managed to find their tags, as Epic was more or less pushed off of his position early on.
It's like a great decision for them. You can see it like from one game to the next. In game one, they left Mega City to go and find their surge. This time around, they're boxing up at the top of one of these buildings. Depending on where this next zone pulls, they could have everything that they need and more. They get zoned yet again. And a lot of those teams towards the north side of the map and even towards the west are in their line of sight, so they can keep padding surge on these rotating players.
Well, look at this. The Rift Island is starting to be revealed there, and there is no one really near it to insta-claim it. So there's going to be some options there available for some of the players in the lobby. Like we said before, those 18 points can be an absolute game changer. Get them early on, but Slick and Chicken now pushing for the fight here. Jivvy and Lacey are on the defensive. The last time we saw this, it went very well, but this time there's no surge pressure warning just yet.
Yep, for Lacey and Jivvy, they're doing a good job up to this point. The Chicken and Slick, they're not one to stray away from any fight, especially if they got the damage lead very, very early on, not knowing exactly where these players are positioned at. You see them trying to disengage, keep rotating in, get deeper and deeper towards that Rift Island. They can choose to go up, maybe even a Rift, but there's only one team currently positioned on top of that Rift Island, and they're definitely going to be the ones that have the best chances just to capture it. Because of the changes to the capture point, two people sitting inside, like you see, is going to capture it much, much faster. So now you see the rest of the lobby only seeing one team up there. They know those points are going to go over, so everybody else is just going to scavenge together the rest of this loot.
I like what Chicken was doing there. It's like they were just like looking out, trying to see if we could catch a player going up the zip line, but it didn't quite happen the way they wanted it to. And there it is, capture point already secured. You said it's quick, but it's a lot quicker than it seems. Just like that, it's already over.
Yeah, so a lot of these teams, there's no reason to fight directly up there. What you typically see now that the point is captured, you see N-Pen, D-Roller, they're just refarming, regathering those materials, and a lot of teams like to position on top of that Rift Island as well. It's a huge amount of elevation, but it's the biggest thing is the storm surge that they're going to be able to gather up there, because now they're going to be able to see everybody all around them before they have to rotate themselves. So we got so much action going down around the map. I'm going to throw it over to Kelly to let us know what else is going down around the lobby.
Oh, hey! So last game I talked about the new duos that we're seeing in the Last Chance Major. Now I want to talk about the returning duos, and we have 5 duos returning from Major 3. That's Trashy and Clarity, Click and Epic Whale, Pump and Degen, Pamsto and Fatch, and Blake and Macwood. Now, out of those 5 duos, do you guys know which duo has made it to all 3 majors? That's right, it is Pamsto and Fatch, and their best performance this year was a 7th place finish in Major 2. Let's see if they can do it again.
I think the way they have been playing so far, they have that potential, maybe even climb higher, but 7th place, I bet you they would be fine with that because it's our top 8 teams on the day that qualify in. Whether you're 8th place or 1st place, that's still a victory in my eyes.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, at the end of the day, that's really all that matters is getting through the last chance major into the global championship.
This is where another south zone like we saw in that last game. That's why I said it was a little bit of a blessing. Teams got to prepare for nothing to go their way. If you can prepare for nothing to go your way when the game is a little bit smoother, you pull zone, you get early surge, that almost feels like you're playing on easy mode. And for Peterbot and Byla, because of that capture point in game 1, you said it yourself, they're able to climb up the leaderboard, and already you see them just tagging up these players as they follow right behind them. That's Justice, that's Veer, that are right in front of them, but they have to watch out. There's a team position at the top of the mountain just to their left that would make them susceptible to taking damage.
That was an excellent stat about Byla and Peterbot here. Really just showcased the times they have played together. They have not fallen outside the top 5 in the FNCS Grand Finals lobby. It's just one of those things, man. Sometimes you are just meant to play with another player, whether you like it or not. Y'all just know how to get it done. So we'll see. Vert and Walkers, man, this right here is for sure one of my more, again, underrated, I'd say dark horse picks right now. Vert is someone who's proven himself time and time again to be an absolute fierce competitor, but Walkers is that newer age of young and hungry player every season, slowly working his way up the ranks, now finding himself more alongside veteran players, right, that can really, I would say, accompany and complement his growing skill set. But here with Cam and Natch, a completely different conversation in store for them. This is a very much experienced duo here. They've been here before.
Yeah, Natch playing at some of the biggest stages, qualifying there with different teammates as well. It goes to show that he feels like you can pair him with anybody. He's going to shine. It's all about keeping up with his pace, his tempo. I think Cam is a good teammate to do just that. I remember when he came on the scene, he surprised a lot of people playing with veterans himself just to get to where he is. And that's the, ooh, wow. I was gonna say that's the biggest thing, but Mojo and Hove over on the other side, just hiding through the door. Peekaboo, I see you as he takes him down. Now Notch is feeling the pressure of not only teams, but Storm Surge as well. All he have is slap splashes, so that was his only opportunity to get damage, and everything came crumbling down in a blink of an eye.
Yeah, he recognized he had to take a fight, like whether he wanted to face check that team or not. He really needed the tags. He didn't have many other options, so unfortunately their run's gonna come to an end pretty quickly. And now we jump in with Blake and Mac with 327 above the surge threshold here, just outside of the new zone, and plenty of options to pick apart here on the north side. They're going to instead prioritize the rotate while no one is watching. And this is just wonderfully executed here, breaking that line of sight with that tree there, getting super close to Broken and company here. And shoot, they might even feel like this might be a team they can fight, being that they weren't so aware of their coming. So we'll find out.
Definitely has his own, and the game keeps going on, and a lot of these players are going to get pushed closer and closer together. A little bit of a beauty, though. Mega City has so many natural covers, pre-made buildings that are indestructible, so you could box up, you could get yourself a nice position and then try to rotate on out, but it's also one of those spots that gets very, very confusing knowing where your opponent's at, as Pamso is going to have to do the rest of this one as a solo. It's definitely possible, but being into the top 35, there's that many teams still alive. There's just 10 teams that need to go down before you even get points, so Pamso has a long road ahead.
Not an easy ask by any means. Very tough spot to be in. I do wonder what happened with Fashy falling this early. I mean, last game, they made it to endgame together and then played it out. What can you do as a solo? Very, very tough position to be in. But Byla and Peterbot, like we talked about before, this is a team that has continuously been on an upwards trend when playing with one another. When they split apart, I would say it was one of the bigger surprises, right? They came off of an actual FNCS win, and then split apart. I remember it very distinctively because we were hyping them up as a team to look out for, and then all of a sudden they decided, yeah, we won a championship, but we don't have to play with each other. And they started doing different things. It was such a big question mark left, I'd say, on the community. But now look at them back together and doing well. Death and Tahi, another well-performing team coming out of game one, now completely finished. Again, to give out, so that's going to make the standings that much more contentious for the rest of the lobby here.
Yeah, a little bit of a feeling of how I think the day is going to go. It's all about consistency throughout the 6 games. You don't want to slip up, but sometimes you give yourself a little bit of a speed bump along the way, and you got to have that confidence, that mental game to stay in it. Things aren't going to go your way 100% of the time. You got to be able to pop off. See Trashy taking down Lacey in the feed. Lacey, somebody that was in our top 7 after game 1. So it's definitely up for the grabs for a lot of these teams in the game, as Palsy's just trying to position himself above another team. He's trying to make himself look bigger than he actually is.
Yeah, that weapon's absolutely underrated. The explosive damage can do some big problems for some teams here. But hold up. And with Day and Redux right now, it's just a single Elim. They are, I'd say, flirting with a bit of an issue here as far as how much damage they need to start to make and pick up in order to get pretty comfortable for this end game right now.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. It's a good feeling now that you are above it, but a lot of these experienced players know it's 154. That could change in the blink of an eye. Even if they get the elimination, you see them drop down just a little bit before going right back on up to 225. They definitely have their plan intact, and they're trying to make sure that it goes to perfection. Clicks an epic well coming off a hot win in game number 1, 271 above the damage threshold. A huge difference from last game, but that's just because they haven't had to move at all. They landed Mega City, and they've been here ever since.
I'm more surprised they don't have absolute high ground right now. They've been content to play somewhat of a mid-ground layer here on the outskirts, but everything is starting to change now as they will have to rotate completely out of the city hard west. Some might call it rigged, but this is not a rigged zone by any means for them, as they will have to go all the way across, and they know the map probably better than most, and they have the straight path all the way through.
Free rotation, anyone? Almost not even getting tagged up at all.
Maybe a little rig
damage.
Maybe just a little bit.
That was just insane of a rotation, especially in a lobby that is stacked just like this. But that just goes to show how many other teams are forced to rotate exactly like that. Jeff, a player who also lands towards Mega City, taking a page out of their playbook. It's not as easy for him because now he's a solo.
Yeah, you see he probably doesn't even know as much of the routing path there. So he's just going to say, hey, I'm pretty okay with how far I got. I'm going to go in and cut through this building here. A lot of risk involved, of course, running through enemy builds, but ends up working out in his favor now. Nos is there to his right. He's just creating absolute destruction here through builds. Has to be careful not to expose himself here and there. He finds himself a nice little comfortable nook to play off of. And he has officially made it towards the high placing points now, but this is where it gets that much more difficult.
Yep, see Vatch going and having a great game here as a solo overall. Peterbot and Bylaw, 4 eliminations, slowly but surely climbing up the leaderboard. You're and Dorito, you can see them in the distance. A good portion of the lobby did pull on this next zone, so it's not going to be too hard of a rotation to begin. But the longer you take, the longer you stagger yourself behind, that's where it's going to get tough.
Well, it's going up and over this mountain now too, so there is some serious elevation change happening right now for Redux and Day. They don't want to play the low ground any much more than they have to. And here they find themselves working their way on up. Bully, Shadow, just next door. Another very, very exceptional team here. Oh. Meanwhile, Travis and Austin go for the full low ground, outskirts rotate. Very different approach. We love to see different styles come into play right here. High ground held currently by Cardi and Potek. Does seem like a little fight might be going out for it, but they're going to put up a big enough front to hold it down and then reconnect some old builds that were left behind.
I was wondering how players were going to get up that mountain. Well, when you start with elevation, it's that much easier. They're going to hold on to it as well. That's Agented and Polarized trying to make up for that game, last game in game 1. You saw them get separated. You saw them get tagged up and eliminated by Pamstu and Fatch. Now they're trying to make up for it, and they're going to find another solo out of position. That's a refresh that they absolutely need. You see them running low on materials.
It's one of those eliminations you never expect to happen either from the outskirts, on the edge of the zone, a team coming through on slurp effect and speed. Make it look nice and easy. Peterbot and Byla now. Here comes another elevation shift. Front side of zone is looking like a repeat of the last game. But this game looks completely different for Clix here, who's now taken out just outside the top 15 there. And he does earn himself some placement points. But that's going to be enough padding, which is exactly what he's looking for here to make it through to the global championship.